Welcome to Calabash TV and the reality show here on Calabash TV. I am Bernard Panis, and with us as usual is Ambrose. Welcome, sir.
Yes.
And Michael. It's good to have you back again.
Thank you.
And Michael, we want to start with you because you are the one who had the most faith in the St. Lucia Stars, and that has started to pay off. For some of us who were kind of losing faith, including the manager, who jumped ship as well when things got a little hot. Well, we're not quite sure exactly why, but we assume if you leave after. If you leave after a team loses, then we figure that that it's the reason, but we haven't seen any press releases on that. But Michael, you relieved that the team has, well, started winning?
Bernard, yes. Of course, like I said on the last show, that I believe the guys would have bounced back from the miserable performance over the first few games. Of course, one would have noticed the first game that they played here. I mean, we could have won that match. It says that the guys are performing. In that game, the guys were able to score over 200 runs. And in spite of the 32-run 17th over from the captain, the guys still struggled to win the game. I think they won the game on the penultimate ball. All right? So it means that, well, we have a good team. The guys can play. But like you said a while ago, the killer instinct, they don't have it. I think what they need to do is to find ways and means when it comes to the depth overs, the 16th to the 20th over. That I think they probably losing concentration, and this is why I think they've struggled to win games. Of course, the game in Guyana was the same thing. They were very much on their way to winning the game, and they lost the game within the last few overs. So yes, I believe the guys they have done well, and I believe they will continue to do well. I think that win will serve as a win beneath their wings to push them even further.
So, Ambrose, you're expecting the start of a winning streak from here on?
I don't know. Probably Michael has more confidence in me. I'm honestly not expecting it, but I'm hoping. The reality is something had to give. I mean, my goodness, they couldn't continue losing the way they were losing, and so I think something had to give, and so they won this one. I'm really hoping for their sake that they continue to win. But somehow I don't know. Maybe after about 2 or 3 games, and if they can keep winning, then I will say maybe they are on the up and up. But at the moment, I say well done. They did well, but I don't think they have necessarily restored my confidence.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm hoping too that this is just the start. After losing 15 games, you really can't go any further than this. So I'm really want to see if we can win at least the next 4 or 5 games that we have yet to play. And I was trying to, out of my wits when they lost the last match and trying to figure out what exactly we need to do. And somebody was talking about, well, since the name changed, they haven't won much. They weren't doing much better with the Zooks, but then since the name changed, and Michael, I was thinking, okay, the St. Lucian Stars, and they haven't won since Mr. Shastney has become Prime Minister. I know we will talk about politicization of stuff in just a while, but I was thinking of a name change to probably the St. Lucia Flabos. That might bring us some luck.
Well, I think whether Stars or Flabos or whatever, I really don't know what change it will make. But Bernard, something that is worthy of note is if you take a very close look at the performance of the team when it comes to batting, they are doing well. They've always done well. The thing is, our bowlers cannot defend the score that we have on the board. All right? We drop catches in the outfield. Okay, and our bowlers are very lackadaisical. So I think if we could get, or the team management could get the bowlers and the fieldsmen to come together and understand that it's a game that is under pressure. Cricket is always under pressure, but in a shorter form of the game, which is 20 overs, you're always under pressure. That I believe and I have full confidence that the guys can go much further in this series.
Ambrose, do we have an endorsement for a name change?
For sure. They should probably. I don't know why they didn't call it St. Lucia Flabos instead. I mean, honestly, because I just think it's making the star look bad, But in truth, I don't know if a name change would have really made. I really hated the name St. Lucia Zooks. I have to confess. I didn't because I don't know the Zook thing. I just think, but Zouk is Matnican and the French kind of thing. I know we have a little French in us, but I didn't really like the St. Lucia Zooks, and I really thought maybe they needed a name change. And when I heard St. Lucia Stars, I thought terrible name change, especially was a blue star or is it I don't know,
it's a color, that was the issue.
No, I just I personally just thought, why St. Lucia Stars? I couldn't get it. Is it because they knew that they were losing and so maybe they want to shame the Stars? I don't know.
People, yeah.
I don't know. The truth of the matter is I really don't know if the name change will make a difference, but I really wish them well. I mean, look, they broke a record.
Yeah, well.
They broke a record with...
They broke one before that losing.
Well, that's true. So they've broken two records. They broke two records in 2 days.
The record is always theirs. I mean.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, they are the team that has won the least amount of games. But then the score, the 226 that they did, that's a record for CPL. That's the highest ever. So let's hope that they don't go from that height to breaking another record, which, I just want them to do well.
That's exactly my point. I mean, if you could score 226 runs and lose the game, that means when you're batting, you're doing well. And what is it you didn't do properly to cause you to lose the game? I mean, for a team to come and chase down 226 runs says that you did something wrong.
And that's why, I mean, even from... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was in 212, the first one, right? 212, yes, 212.
And that's why I think even from the first match, I think I heard Reds Pereira saying that the fielding was horrible. They had dropped so many catches. Even Sammy dropped 2 catches, and Sammy's normally very reliable. And so it's a complete game. You can't just be strong in one department. You need to be strong in almost every area. And people seem to underestimate too fielding. I mean, if you can save 2 runs there, 3 runs there, take a catch. If you tighten the fielding, the fellas won't take so many quick singles because they won't take a chance on you. So at least let's hope that they can tighten all areas. I mean, we're all hopeful that the guys will. They're home.
Yeah.
So they will be able to do. And I think I don't know who we play next. I think it's probably Calabash again.
Jamaica.
Yeah. So, and the Jamaicans are not feeling very good at the moment. So
that's right, because they lost the last game.
Right, they lost the last game. So we're hoping that something is going to happen. On that note, cricket note, we must congratulate Kimani Melius for being called to the West Indies B team. So this is a young man who keeps on rising, and he's, well, you know the area pretty well. He's from Bojis. Yeah. Michael.
Well, Bernard, not just him. I must say it appears. Moving from the south, from Sami, it seems Babono has taken on the mantle of cricket in St. Lucia, because we have this young lady who made it to the western side. She's from Moni, of course, part of Babono, where she's from. We have Kimani Melius who's doing well, and there is another young gentleman from the Babono area who's also doing very well in cricket. So I must say, well, Kimani Melius is a child I know his people, I know his family very well. They're related to one of my brothers, and I think one thing is family. They're very passionate about cricket, and they're really pushing him. And this child has grown and by leaps and bounds in cricket, and I could see him as one who will make it to the West Indies A team, very soon, because of his performance over the last 2 years.
I mean, he's supremely talented, and if you, I mean, I know him because I'm part of the grassroots team that he is part of. He's just very focused as a young man. He's very disciplined, which you don't find very often, and part of being successful, especially in cricket, especially if you're batting, means that you have to be disciplined, you have to be focused. And I think these are some of the qualities that he has displayed. And again, we must give a shout out to the coach, Alton Crafton, and Rosie Preville, and the guys who are doing pretty well with the grassroots team. And that's what we're talking about, the need to have that kind of a solid infrastructural base for athletes. When you get a good foundation at a grassroots level, Ambrose, you tend to get better prepared for the real competition.
Absolutely, and that's why it is necessary that more money is spent in sports. And as you said, the grassroots is very important, because there are quite a few areas where some young people are doing quite well with cricket. But I was just going to say, I'm looking forward to CPL 2019. I'm really hoping that there will be more than that one St. Lucian on the team. I'm really hoping that we can get at least 2 or maybe 3. I know Johnson has been taken by the Jamaicans, and he did quite well for them.
Yeah, he's doing well.
He's doing, but I'm hoping that something, there can be some ascension, and a few young people can really find and work their way into the CPL team. Hopefully 2019 or 2020. Now,
I know the CPL and the Giselle and all the other sponsors are doing some amazing work in terms of giving some exposure to young cricketers, especially I know they did some work with some schools here recently. But I think one of the things we need to see is more support for the grassroots program. I mean, from what Alton Crafton is doing, from what John Eugene is doing, there's somebody in Marshall doing something, I think Tyrone, I'm sure there's somebody in the South doing. You need to have support, because when you talk to these guys, it's a struggle to buy balls, to get equipment and so on. And they need support at that level, because if you can get a good solid base from the grassroots program, no matter what sport it is, football, cricket, netball, whatever it is, and then you tend to, when you get into schools and schools competition and then national competition, then you tend to be better prepared to deal. So you've mastered the basics, now you're just ready to just execute your ability and your skills and so on. So one of the things that, and I think we've stressed it here a few times, that this is where we need the investment. It's all good and well to welcome people when they come back from victory, but we need the investment when there's nobody watching and you're there doing the hard work on a Saturday and a weekend, and trying to mold young talent, especially we have the discipline issue as well. So that's a big challenge for us as well.
I was going to say, it's really sad. I was listening this morning, I was listening to Yadi, and a young man called, Yadi and Jaim, I was listening to them this morning, and a young man called making a comment. I really felt really sad. Something about, I think there was some athletics meet in the Bahamas, and the three of the guys, I think 3 or 2 of them, were suffering from injuries, and there was no physiotherapist, and the guys ended up going to the Bahamas, and it was actually the physiotherapist in the Bahamas that actually enabled them to do well, and help them with their injuries, and so much so that they qualified into the finals. But the interesting thing is that they didn't win anything, they didn't bring any medals home.
The exposure.
But here's the interesting thing. But they were saying that when they got home, the persons who are responsible, I guess what you would call the government people, those who are responsible for athletics and things of that sort, they gave them a right rollicking for not having brought any medal or anything home. And it's like, you couldn't provide physiotherapists for them. If you couldn't provide physiotherapists for them, I wonder what else you couldn't provide for them when they went to the meet. But yet when they come here and they do not bring a medal of some sort, you kind of will tell them off. Really and truly, it needs to be covered in all areas. The athletes cannot do well if they do not get the necessary support. And I really believe that, I know we say this, I've been hearing this for years, and still nothing is happening. It's about time that people really take seriously sports in St. Lucia.
The investment, we need to have major investments in not just building a stadium, but in terms of the coaching programs and the facilities and also the equipment and so on. We need to seriously, I mean, we talk about Laverne and probably know the school has a high jump facility and so on. I mean, that's appears to be a flippant thing, but it's a serious thing that we have a world-class athlete and we don't have that kind of legacy that's coming out of it in terms of our investment. What are we putting into Laverne and her legacy and so on. And so and when you go to all the playing fields, I mean, I was using a playing field in La Pointe. I was doing something about West Indies cricket, and I'm saying the state of West Indies cricket is that field in La Pointe. I mean, there was just a small strip. I saw guys playing cricket on. I mean, it's small, a boundaries just here and there. I mean, and these guys could probably get a chance to represent St. Lucia and the West Indies, but if they don't have a proper playing field to expose themselves, I know there's good playing fields in Choiseul, but I'm just making a point that we need to pay attention to all of those facilities. Okay, Kimani, for example, you think in Bochis has a world-class facility? I'm not even sure there's a field there. So Michael, that's some of the things that we need to look at. Now we need to understand that when we make an investment in youth, we make an investment in building the country's self-esteem, in health, because the healthier our young people are, the less we're making a lot of noise about St. Jude and the new hospital. But if we have healthy people, we wouldn't even need those facilities so much. Absolutely. So I think we need, Michael, to seriously look at making a solid, and not just, we're talking about putting endless money in road rehabilitation and so on. But what about putting a huge chunk of money into sports development, Michael?
But this is so true, because something I've observed over the years, our youth, they have very little interest in the traditional sporting games that we knew when we were growing up. You will find majority of the young men are into basketball, the American sports, and this is why I believe the coaches we have now are people of our era. All right. After those guys have given up, who do we have to take up the mantle? And this is where I believe what you just mentioned there makes sense, because unless the authorities invest in individuals now that will take on the leadership role, the next 15, 20 years, we know we have proper coaches. You know, I believe in the next 10, 15 years, we may very well lose the little advances that we've made, especially in cricket over the last few years. I believe we will lose that because we may not have coaches to take on the mantle from Alton Crafton, John Eugenes, and the others who are doing a fantastic job with our youth now. I mean, just imagine Alton Crafton. You know, I could say a local little black boy from St. Lucia has done so well as far as the Windward Islands. Okay, it goes to show that if they get the support, they could do a lot more than they've done. I mean, Alton is considered as one of the best coaches we have in the Caribbean. So, you know, we need to invest. We need to invest a lot more in especially cricket, because I mean, cricket is the sport I'm more passionate about. So I think a lot more needs to be done to ensure that, you know, come the next 10, 15 years, the game is not dead in St. Lucia.
But if you talk to guys like Alton and also John Eugene and Tyrone and other guys who are very involved in trying to build a foundation in cricket, that there's a lot of personal sacrifice that they make, a lot of their own personal resources that they put into it, and they're doing it just for the love of it. They're not getting anything out of it in terms of you know, personal achievements and personal satisfaction and so on. Well, it's personal satisfaction in terms of personal wealth and so on, but they're basically giving their all, and what we're asking is that for there to be a corresponding support from the country. I don't want the country to just be showing up when the country's winning and everybody's at the airport with flowers and steel band and flag waving students and so on. But we want to make sure that you there be long before we leave to represent that we have support from you.
Yeah, that's something again that is worthy of note. I remember when we were growing up, on any given afternoon after school, you would find, especially when you pass in Barbour, you'd find, you know, children on the road playing cricket, right on the road practicing. Every Saturday, every Sunday on any playing field. That's a sport you would find. You'd find people, a group of people there practicing. I remember even some young ladies would come practice with us. This is all dead. This is all finished. Rarely would you pass somewhere to see the boys playing cricket. They're into the, like I said, the American sports, or they're on the gadgets on Facebook and stuff like this. I think a concerted effort has to be made by the authorities to re-engender that sporting thing in our youth. Like I said, if this does not happen soon, I believe, you know, Crapo will spoke our part when it comes to the sports.
But I was also going to say something as simple as making sure that the playing fields are clear and good for use. I find that the government is very, very, very slack in that department. They don't, I mean, playing fields, you have a lot. The other day I passed by the Bexon playing field. I could not believe the state of the Bexon playing field. And I remember there was a time I always seen young men there playing football. And I don't see cricket there often, but they play football there. There was grass. I mean, I know I'm not the tallest person around, but there's grass. If I went in there, it would almost cover, maybe like close to my head. So I mean, you cannot have a situation like that where the things, the facilities that are needed, so the young people, they keep talking about youth and crime and all of these things, but the things that are needed to enable the young people to actually have their thoughts directed to other things, they're not making sure these things are there and ready for them.
Yeah, let me agree with you, but I want to go further to state that I know for a fact there is a program where persons are contracted to keeping the playing fields clean, but the thing is, you don't have a follow-up. You don't have somebody driving around to ensure it is done. Persons are being paid, or they have the contract to do it, and they don't do it. I know of fields in the north where the guys do it on a constant basis. They do it on a month-to-month because people, you know, there are people in the area who passes to supervise. But in some other areas, the rural areas, I don't know if it's because of lack of supervision or lack of interest, but it is not done on a regular basis, and it is really hurting our sports.
It is.
And that's where the society too, and we as a people need to take some ownership and some responsibility as well, because it's our playing field, it's our facility, and we have a role to play. We can't wait for government and agencies to do everything. I'm sure a community can organize and get a couple of weed eaters and get guys who are in clubs to just, you know, touch it up a little bit just to make sure it's okay. We have the other Crafton who is world-renowned in terms of maintaining facilities. The curator, he can basically help us do some courses and something for some of our guys in the communities to make sure that you are responsible for maintaining your ground and so on. But yeah, we do need the government support, but we as a people need to step up and say, we'll take responsibility for making sure that this grass stays at a particular level. We can invest, get somebody to donate some, a weed eater, we can cut the grass ourselves, we can do all. I mean, we have to step up as well. But at the same time, we're not saying that there's no responsibility for central government and for the village and town councils.
But having said that, I want to give a big thumbs up to Kent Crafton, because I saw something. I didn't go to the game, but you could have seen it on television. The way he designed the ground at Beausejour. This was breathtaking. I think it was a giant, how you call it, a giant spider. You could have seen with all the legs, and that was very, 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 very nice. And I think, well, over the years, he's proven himself.
He got praised for it too.
Yeah, to be a very good curator. But this last one was very, very well done, and I must say, thumbs up to him.
So we have basically we have all the elements to make things happen. We just have, as a people, now to commit to do, and focusing on the right thing, because we focus too much, and we'll talk about that later on distractions. A lot of things I think that has not so much of a big national importance, but we spend countless hours of airtime, countless hours of argument, countless hours just debating things that are not advancing us, but things like that we need to pay some attention to. I know we have a lot, some other things we'll be talking about later on. We'll touch on some other things, because I know Michael wanted to talk about some garbage situation. I know you mentioned entertainment. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll get to the things that you guys want to discuss, and also the few things that I want to tie in as well. So this is the reality show here on Calabash TV.
This is the reality show on Calabash TV.
How have you been preparing for the extreme weather that we're expecting with climate change?
I reinforced my roof with hurricane straps, and I built a retaining wall.
Thanks to SLDB, my business switched to solar power. They also funded a green investment for my business.
SLDB gave me a loan with the lowest interest rate on the market to buy new water tanks and an irrigation system. I am now better prepared for the dry season.
Low-interest loans are available for a range of resilient building purposes for homes and businesses for as low as 4.5% at the SLDB. Build stronger, feel safer, and invest smarter with the Climate Adaptation Financing Facility at the SLDB. Call 456-7532 to make an appointment.
Thanks to technology, we can still enjoy some of life's most important moments. Just sign up to check your balance, manage multiple accounts, and pay your bills online through your bank, even while doing what matters most. It takes just a few minutes to set up from a computer, tablet, or smartphone. Select My Account, a free, fast, and easy way to view and pay your electricity bills.
Hey Keisha, what's happening over there?
I'm not sure, but it looks like something big.
Really?
In observance of its 26th anniversary, Fix is offering new and existing customers the Jumbo Mortgage Finance Package, a package which gives customers the power to get additional financing to better their lives with several bonus options. A built-in savings plan, repayment 2 months after disbursement, and a mortgage payment holiday too.
What I'm hearing is that you can get any kind of loan as long as you can mortgage any property as security.
Wow, then that's Jumbo.
Indeed.
The JMF package comes with 100% financing on land and house loans, attractive interest rates, debt consolidation, and much more. Get the all-new Jumbo Mortgage Finance at Fix. Terms and conditions apply. Fix, a company you can trust.
26 clicks, and it's off middle and left.
We still a win, we still a win. We still a win. Them girl keep the black thing shining. We still a win.
It's incredible. You couldn't write a script like this.
We still a win. Them to know say a worldwide thing. Hear me? We still a win.
He goes for the keeper. He could score. He does.
Right now. We still a win. We still a win. We still a win. Them a pray for me, na.
Trophy Center Plus. Telephone 452-4151.
You are watching the reality show streaming live on stluciafirst.com.
This is the reality show here on Calabash TV. Welcome. We have with us as usual Ambrose and also Michael, who's here with us. And I think, Ambrose, I saw a note that you want to talk about entertainment, but let me do a little segue before we get to you. We were just chatting a while ago about support. And I saw a statement about the government is fully supporting the Dennery segment, which is good. We need the governmental support for the Dennery segment. And that's commendable, and we must commend the guys, you know, who are promoting the Dennery segment music, and they're exporting it globally, which is good. You can see online, and also they get requests to perform at venues across the world. So there's some movement in that area. But just making a quick point, just what we were discussing earlier on about the investment. So, for example, if you were to take a look at the schools in Dennery, are there solid music programs in the schools? You know, sponsored and funded by the state and so on. Imagine what. So these guys would be coming out of school, being able to write, being able to produce music. I mean, they would have an edge, and then with the natural talent that they have and the natural skill, that they can now take it on another level. But I want to just bring that in, Michael. Ambrose, before you spoke about entertainment. What are you talking about entertainment?
Well, what bothers me in relation to the entertainment is, I mean, yes, I think it's all good and well that the government has spoken of their support for the Dennery segment. I think that's a good thing. But generally, I want to focus a little bit more on the attitude of the population as a whole. I'm referencing DJs, I'm referencing legislators, how it is that they are approaching the idea of uplifting St. Lucian music. I bought a radio. I haven't had a radio in a while.
What's that?
I haven't for a long time. I haven't had a radio. And I decided to buy a radio about 3 weeks ago. And it's actually, for me, I started realizing that I was living in Jamaica. It dawned on me that I was living in Jamaica. And I get the odd St. Lucian music, and that would mostly be the Dennery segment. But there are many entertainers in this country who are doing great music. They're gospel singers. They're reggae artists. There are many entertainers in this country who are doing wonderful music. I am tired of the excuse from DJs when they like to reference the quality of the music. I hear them play some garbage, bad quality Jamaican music on their stations daily. I listen to the radio and I am convinced that I am living in Jamaica. There is one particular station that I will avoid naming them, but I realize there are about 2 others that are following the same. I think it's about time that the government considers legislation to make radio stations in this country, to make sure that they are playing a percentage of St. Lucian music. It is shameful that Echo would collect hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year, and the bulk of it goes to Barbados, Trinidad, and Jamaica. And very little of it actually stays here in St. Lucia to enable the development and promotion of St. Lucian music. I also have an issue. When you look at most of the shows, we cannot have any. People say, oh, how can our artists have international stature if we as a people do not support them? How can our artists, I mean, I look at young Freezy at the moment. He's doing very well. He's traveling all over the place, representing St. Lucia, representing what is called the Dennery segment. Okay? But the truth of the matter is, how is it that Freezy, after his song, which is very popular now, he has about 2 or 3 songs that are quite popular, after they have passed their time, because that's music eventually, some of it, especially that sort of music, it kind of passes its time. What is it that Freezy is going to do if he cannot get a next hit song to enable him to continue to make hit songs and to keep developing the art form? The truth of the matter is, I don't think entertainers necessarily need money from government. You understand? It's all good and well if government can give them the money. Entertainers I'm making reference to. I'm not talking about programs that will help build musicians and create musicians. I'm making reference to persons who are actually working musicians. And I don't necessarily think that they need to be paid by government to help promote their music. They themselves can actually work hard and promote their own music. But the truth of the matter is, the government can help with legislation. They can help with legislation to make sure that the music is protected, and to make sure that radio stations in St. Lucia and organizations that play music, that they produce, or they make sure that the airplay, a good chunk of the airplay is local music, because they're all paying money to Echo. Okay, they're all paying money to Echo for playing all these songs, and that is the key thing that's on my mind. And that's really I started a campaign a few months ago where I was calling for 65% local. Barbados has something like that. Barbados insists that Barbadian music has to come first. Jamaica does it. I'm sure in Jamaica you couldn't go there and get St. Lucian music playing constantly. I'm not saying the odd music will not play, okay? But when it is, you have a situation where 90% of the music that is played on our radio station is from Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados, I think it is shameful, and really that needs to come to an end.
Yeah, Ambrose, let me see here. I agree with you 110%. But there seems to be one issue where you didn't touch on, and I think it has to do with promotion. There is a prevalent situation in St. Lucia now where majority of our artists, when they've done recordings, the radio stations have to purchase the recording in order to get it airplayed. I mean, just imagine you're local and you want to give more airplay to your music, to encourage people to purchase. All right, the radio station have to buy a CD. Purchase a CD from you in order to play. I mean, who would want to do that?
But that still exists.
It does. It does.
Really?
I've heard the disc jockeys. I've heard the disc jockeys talking about that most times, where people are complaining, or artists are complaining that the songs are not being played, but they do not send their music to the. Well, some of them do not send their music to the radio station. Not all. Some. Also, I think. Some of our music needs to be cleaned, because I'll be honest with you, in as much as I'm happy that Denry segment guys are doing that well, but 90% of the songs I wouldn't allow that to play in my vehicle or at my home. The music needs to be cleaned. Okay, it is not the kind of music that I would want to play at my house if my grandchildren they're listening to that. So in as much as I support you, I believe we need, in order for the art form to grow. We need to promote, we need to do better. We need to increase the amount of airplay that is given to our local music. But our local artists need to do a lot more in order to promote themselves and promote their music, to ensure that, number one, like I said, they clean up the music, and number two, that they assist in promoting the music by getting into the various radio stations, so that there could be more airplay, and of course encourage people into purchasing the local music.
But I mean, what you're saying in relation to artists selling their music to DJs, I must confess, I'm not very aware of that. I mean, as a matter of fact, what I get is a lot of artists who speak to me, they say that they give their music to the DJs, the disc jockeys, and what's happening is that the disc jockeys themselves, they're not pushing the music unless it's a friend. I mean, Paola, I don't know if that still exists. I mean, I'm not necessarily one who is against the idea of it. I'm being very honest with you, because that is how Motown established themselves. That is how many great musicians established themselves. I see nothing wrong with flipping. I mean, I shouldn't, because Paola is supposedly illegal.
I was about to tell you that. Imagine there are other artists who didn't make it because they weren't able to buy their way through.
Exactly.
So I mean, because there are talented musicians who couldn't or who wouldn't pay to have the music played. But go ahead.
No, but in truth, I mean, I don't really know of this. I mean, maybe there might be the odd person who probably believes that their music is so amazing that the DJ should buy it in order to play it, which I think is nonsense. Because if you want the DJ to play your music, you should be. As a matter of fact, if you're going to do a recording and you're going to, let's say, produce 100 CDs, although people don't really do CDs nowadays. But if you're going to do 100 CDs, you want to make sure at least 30 of that is for DJs, you know, and then the other 70 is for selling. But for me, above all else, I think unless we need government to get involved, I think there needs to be legislation to protect our music. We really need legislation. We need copyright laws. We need copyright laws. I mean, to this day, there's really no... How do you copyright in St. Lucia? Unless you use the same old method of posting your music to yourself.
There are copyright laws. Yeah. In fact, we have a very advanced one, actually.
But how do you go? How do you in terms of copyright? How do you get your music protected?
Yeah, I mean, well, Echo's right next door to us. It's just literally down the
But
stairs.
no, but Echo covers writers and producers.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you... But I understood. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was in a meeting just about 2 weeks ago with a new organization that has been formed, ACCT. It's an organization trying to organize musicians into entertainers, into an association. As a matter of fact, just a plug for them, if you don't mind, there is a meeting on the 8th of September, Saturday the 8th of September, and they're having a meeting to try to come together to formulate a constitution and the way forward. Musicians really need to support this. This is at the Cultural Center. Musicians really need to support this, because if they do not support this, really and truly, they are their own worst enemies. But in truth, what I was actually thinking in relation to legislation and making sure that the government... I see the people who are pirates. They're pirates working. As a matter of fact, I have seen persons who should not be, who are responsible for law enforcement, and I see them buying music from pirates. I mean, that is crazy. Okay, so for me, it is that the population also needs to develop a love. It's our own. It's our music. You know how joyful I feel when I turn my TV on, and sometimes I see a video of a young St. Lucian who is actually, you know, producing a new song. And I agree, Michael, the quality needs in relation to lyrics, you know, lyrical content needs to be worked upon. But then again, if you don't put the money into enabling people to be able to go into forums where they can have, you know, workshops on writing and that sort of thing, how are they going to develop? And lots of these young fellas, some of them not even finishing school, and they want to be able to write lyrics, and then some of the lyrics is just very poor. But the truth of the matter is, we need to begin the process of supporting locals. The people, the population needs to support the musicians. And when I make reference to music, I'm not just making reference to Denry Segment. Yes, I like Denry Segment, but I don't sing Denry Segment. I speak for myself as a singer. I'm an R&B singer. There are many gospel artists in this place. There are R&B singers, there are rap singers. There are many musicians that are doing very good music, but they are not getting the support that they need to get from radio stations, and they're not getting it from, I would say, from government also.
Agreed, go Michael.
But Ambrose, I need to remind you of one thing. You spent 67 years without a radio. You only 3 weeks ago you caught a radio, so you would have missed, especially during the Calypso season. You would have heard all the radio stations clamoring as to they were not getting the music to airplay, because people were clamoring up, why am I not hearing this person's music, that person's music? And the DJs, they were telling you that they were not getting. It's like they have to go and literally purchase the music or go to the tent to record, whereas the artists could simply take the music to
if that is the case, that's terrible.
But having said that, I agree with most of what you've said, and like I stated earlier, I think what we need to do in St. Lucia is to ensure that the production is better, the lyrical content is good. Okay, and of course the artists, they do a lot more to promote themselves. I mean, it's your music. You want to go somewhere. I should not be the one to put my best foot forward to promote you. You have to push me to promote you. And I think if we could do that, that could happen, of course, our artists will go far.
I agree, but I was just going to say, case in point, do you know presently what is the most popular song, kind of calypso song in St. Lucia? It's a disgusting song from Trinidad, Mind Your Funky Business, right?
I think some
now, here's the interesting thing. Just a few weeks ago, I would say Tedderson John wrote a very lovely song, Vent, which I think is a far better quality song than that Mind Your Funky Business. But here's the interesting thing. The DJs have suddenly forgotten Tedderson John. Now, the focus is that song, is that funky business. And here's the interesting thing about it. I mean, I have listened to both songs. I mean, Teddyson John's song, to me, the song has some quality to it. It's a good song. Why is it that because Calypso season has passed, so you're not playing Teddyson John anymore? So when our Calypso season is on, we playing local calypsos and local soca, but as soon as our calypso season is over, you suddenly it's Trinidadians who are ruling our airwaves.
The song is a funky song. You know what St. Lucians go for.
Oh my goodness.
The lyrical
the quality,
you know. How should I say the vibes in the music? They don't get it from Teddyson John's music. So this is why, of course, the radio stations want to play songs they know that will cause people to gravitate towards the station. But again, you know, I think it's a joint effort. People have to come together to ensure that, you know, the music is first and foremost clean, like I said, and you push your own.
Sorry, I was going to say, the day a radio station in St. Lucia plays 65% or 70% local music, I will do everything in my power and will. I might even walk Castries naked to promote them. Because I tell you what, I will listen to nothing else but only them. I really look forward to the day when a radio St. Lucia in St. Lucia plays 65 or at least 70% of our own music.
We, as I keep saying, we as a people, we need to, and you're right, I agree with everything. That's why I didn't get involved too much, because everything I can understand. And actually, I was just about to download a documentary dealing with that same issue, but in France, and how they were able to deal with their music, because they had the same issue about the invasion of American music in France, and they had to put in a quota system. Australia has had the same thing as well. Canada has the same thing. So countries have had to put quotas to protect the music and to protect the art in France as well, to protect the film industry and that kind of thing. Because, I mean, let's take it, the Americans have really, really mastered that genre in terms of the quality and understanding what people want. And they're dominating globally in terms of the film, movies, music, and so on. And so France has had that issue, and part of the documentary I was listening to, when the government did put a quota in place, what the guys were doing is, like if you say you want us to play 65%, they'd probably put the local music after 2 in the morning or after midnight and so on, or you'd get, so I mean there were ways going around it, but then again you're right, we need to have a look at it. And even when government are giving licenses to TV and radio stations, and they need to put in that clause, now listen, we're giving you a license because we want you to serve the country. And what you're using, the spectrum, which is a natural resource. And if you're going to use our resource, it should be used to advance our people and our art and our music. Because right now you're not hearing much music in terms of our folk music, and a lot of guys are not recording because they're not getting airplay.
Exactly.
I know of good quality albums. I know Semi had a very good quality album with quality songs, and you wouldn't hear the songs on the radio. You'd probably hear one or two songs, but the entire album was a good album. Claudia has an album as well of quality music, and you'd only hear 1 or 2 songs. And so we deliberately, as a people, have not been pushing quality when we get it. And so a lot of people I know have been discouraged from going to the studio and record. You spend your money and nobody's playing the music. Yeah. Thankfully, we have the internet. Some people are now pushing their music through the internet. So that's an avenue that we need to work on. But I agree with one of the points you made before I come to you now, Michael. In terms of we as a people and as artists ourselves, we need to ensure that we produce music that's exportable, and that is of a high quality, that not just for St. Lucia, but that the international audience would like as well. And so we have to step up in terms of and writing is one of the key things in music. Writing and production and marketing, which is key. So we need to make sure we master those areas. But we need to produce something that people would want to buy and want to listen to. But we seem to have a problem in terms of appreciating our own. And before I come to Michael, very quick comment in terms, I was looking at it, I know Gordon Jean Leon, they're organizing the Jeune Creole, the Creole Song Competition again. And I know when he used to have that competition, he is from a Calypso tent. You would find that Calypsonians from the other tents wouldn't come to support the show. You know, and that's part of our problem, that we don't want to come to support what is local. But you know, if you bring Beenie Man and so on, will flock and will pay good money to go see him. Now, given Beenie Man has good quality music, but we need to have this thing. We need to work on appreciation of what's ours, not just in music, but across the board. Entrepreneurship, sports and so on. You know, to learn to appreciate. Now, Michael, I know you're going to make a point.
Yeah, Bernard. Strange enough, you mentioned people like Semi and Claudia Edwards, and I must say, indeed, we have another very good artist we have in St. Lucia, and I cannot recall the last time I heard her music on the radio, and she is one of the best we have, and I think very few people know of her. Sally Elwin.
Oh, she just released a new song.
Yes, that Hallelujah, that remix of Hallelujah. And let me tell you,
singer.
this I heard that song and I got the chills, man. This young lady who you don't hear much from, she is an amazing artist, okay? But yet still, you don't hear of her music. You hardly hear of Claudia's music. Semi comes out with albums after albums, and you probably hear one or two of his songs. Okay, so this is why I think, going back to what Ambrose said earlier, we really need to, of course, collectively do whatever we can to ensure that a higher percentage of the music that is aired on our local radio stations are local.
Ambrose, I know I'm happy that you guys are forming this organization.
Yes.
But one of the things I would encourage is that the organization needs to understand that it needs to support the fraternity.
Absolutely.
That you can't just be, we were doing a random survey asking musicians what music do you have on your phone. And the majority of it was foreign music. So you're not even listening to your own solutions and so on, and you're a musician. I put out an album, and the people who were asking me for free copies were musicians. There were other people buying my music, but every musician makes us give me a CD, that kind of thing. So we have to, as entertainers ourselves, need to support our people, make the investment.
I do, and here's the interesting thing. At home, people come home. So I give foreign music. I actually, there's a quota in my house.
Really?
Yeah, there's a quota in my house, and I after a certain point, I can't take it anymore. I don't want to hear no Jamaican music. As a matter of fact, if I hear 3 Jamaican songs, 1, 2, 3, I want to move, and I'm flipping through the stations. The sad thing is, you're flipping through, and it's the same Jamaican music playing on all of them. The one evening, I don't know what station it was, because it obviously was a recording, but I was listening to a station. Boy, I heard songs from Teddyson John I've never heard before. They were playing they were only playing St. Lucian music. Would you believe I went to bed listening to that station? I would wake up. And the business people, they need to show support too. As a matter of fact, they should put pressure on the radio stations also, because they can make a difference. Because I guess radio stations, they survive from advertisements.
Yeah.
They
need
business, and so if business places, as a matter of fact, maybe ACCT, the act, maybe that's another place that they should go. That's the direction they should go. Is trying to go to businesses and really try to get their support. Not necessarily asking them for money, but asking them that when they actually get in their advertisements, make sure that their advertisements are from stations that actually spend more time showing, focusing things that are St. Lucian.
But very quickly, we need to wrap up that segment.
Yes.
In terms of, you mentioned legislation and so on, that Act 2 has to propose. If you're going to propose a quota system, you have to do your research and say, like, this has worked in some countries. We think we can try it here and see what works for us. Because a lot of times the government people, the drafters and so on, wouldn't quite know. They have to go do the research. But if you're in it and you're interacting with people in other countries where there is a similar situation, then you can make their lives, their work easier by saying, listen, we know there's a model that works somewhere in Canada, in France, or Australia. Let's look at that model and see what we can, incorporate into our system here to help give us the push. But the point I want to make before we close the segment is that we as artists need to support artists.
Yes.
And also we need to do some education with our DJs. But the stations, again, need to have a policy. So if I'm hiring a DJ, this is my policy. You have to implement my policy. So again, it comes down to policy and also down to the licenses. Yeah. If you get your licenses, it ought to be in the license that there's a certain amount. There's a certain obligation you have as somebody using a local resource, the spectrum, to the country that you live in. Because the Jamaicans are not going to do us that favor, or the Trinidadians or anybody else. So we have to do ourselves that favor.
Yes.
This is the reality show. When we come back, I know, Michael, you have some issue you want to deal with, and Ambrose, we'll have to move very quickly because time is running out on us.
Yes.
This is the reality show. We'll be back shortly.
This is Our Reality, Calabash TV.
Every new start, oh yeah, to help you succeed. You need a bank with a heart, with all that you will need. BOSL, every step of the way. BOSL, every bright new day. BOSL, every step of the way.
The regional agreement on access to information, public participation, and justice in environmental matters in Latin America and the Caribbean will be open for signature this coming September 2018 through to September 2020 at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Join the conversation as we discuss what this agreement means for us in St. Lucia. We want you, students, academia, the public sector, the private sector, the St. Lucia National Trust, civil society, all stakeholders. Join me, Kate Wilson, and the Department of Sustainable Development as we count down to September.
Hey, Glacia. Ou pas las vezes a fait femme nan?
Monica dit, comment dire qu'il finit tout ce travail ça ti paye l'argent.
Oubliez ça Thomas et Choflantan Noël là. Ça y fait nous. Madame nan ni priorité douette.
Show off madame la cacho.
Qui ça mon pas ka coûter ça radioactive a ka di on y pour empêcher glo à l'infondation kay là. Fait canal. On jette gouttière qui croise en masse glo mettez baoui en bagoutière. The ladies adapting to climate change. Don't hate, emulate.
Cox, qu'on nous kaweta modna. Qui ça nous ça fait?
Water is our main problem, you know.
What I seen is more drainage, some trees to help with the land seepage, and a little retaining wall.
Una mesu just ka hate zodi an wa vina. E glacia only put two boots, sir. You need to stop it today.
Climate change impacts will keep getting worse. Starting with the basics can help your family reduce loss and save lives.
Pièce kay qui pas bien bâti, pas kay rester du bout di wan cycle. Si kay la bâti assez fort, là ni a bon chance kayou, business ou et propriétaire pas kay troper dommagé. La Banque Développement Saint-Lucie SLDB ka prêté l'argent avec l'intérêt qui bien bas pour aider ou bâti plus fort, faire barrage maçon, power de l'eau la pluie et pour acheter tanglo. Ça kay aider en préparation pour changement en temps. Congo la pluie, cyclone qui fort et temps qui sec. Bon, pas un net tout bout là qu'on en pied figue en grand vent, vini causer avec SLDB, puis yo aider ou bâti plus fort et confiance qu'on temps qu'a changé.
This is happening. This is our reality. This is Calabash TV.
This is the reality show here on Calabash TV, and as always, Michael is here with us, and also Ambrose. And Michael, I know there's an issue that you want to bring up. I know, sorry, we took a little time to get to you, but now you have the floor.
Yeah, but there's an issue that is very, very dear to me, and I need to let you know that as of now, I'm going to make it a vocation because I think it is really getting out of hand, and that has to do with the indiscriminate disposal of refuse garbage in St. Lucia. Let me start by saying of a particular incident that happened in my area on Friday afternoon, where after the garbage truck had already passed in the morning, I stayed in my yard and I witnessed a young lady tossing 3 bags of garbage out of the car's window. I gently walked up to her and indicated to her that, you know, the garbage truck had already passed for the day, and if she left the garbage there, that it will stay there until Tuesday, because our collection days are Tuesdays and Fridays. And strange enough, the lady looked, well, at the time she looked to me as a very nice and pleasant young lady. She just turned her face, watched me in the eye, sucked her teeth, and drove off. Of course, I was very pissed when she did that, Bernard. And I went onto Facebook and I took photos of the garbage, and I put it up with a comment stating that, you know, this young lady, you know, even after I spoke to her, she left the garbage and she drove off. Of course, that generated quite a stir on Facebook. And of course, by virtue of I putting her card number on Facebook, of course, people who knew who she was within minutes, you know, started blasting Facebook, and I think by now that thing has gotten over 500 comments. Strange enough, when I was told who this lady was, of course, because I did not want to shame her, I inboxed her. That means I sent a message to her personally that the garbage, of course, I know who she is. I know where she lives. I have her address and a full name and whatnot. I would encourage her to come pick up the garbage, because if not, the dogs will make a mess of it, because it will stay there until Tuesday. And I said to her, if it's not picked up by Saturday afternoon, of course I will name and shame you. Bernard, when it was about 1:30 on Saturday, of course the garbage was still the same place. She came to pick it up, and lo and behold, as soon as she did that, because I was in the veranda at the time, I saw when she picked it up, I went back to Facebook and I let the nation know that, okay, here it is. I think she's gotten the message, and she's come to pick up a garbage, and I think the case is closed. And who tell you that? The lady took to Facebook and started calling me all kind of names and telling me I'm a bully. I'm a bully for asking her to pick up a garbage. Yeah? And all sorts of things. And Bernard, I must tell you, out of, like I said, after about almost 500 comments, not one single person supported her. So it goes to show that people are very passionate about the indiscriminate disposal of garbage. This morning, I witnessed well, in fact, I was tagged in a video, the former manager of CIBC. Of course, went to the beach this morning and posted a video on Facebook of how St. Lucians so indiscriminately left the garbage, littered all over the beach yesterday. And as a result, what I've agreed to do, Bernard, is look, take it up from here. Last week, it was last week on one of the television programs, there was this gentleman who does that surfing thing in Calabash, right? And he was saying that I think during the carnival season there was a show on the beach in Calabash where people just indiscriminately, even after they cleaned the beach, in some areas they cleaned it, but the garbage, they took it and they dropped it a little further in. And all the thing is just lying all over the place in the bush. I think it is high time now that the authorities and those of us who are passionate about it, do something about it. And I think the Solid Waste Management Authority needs help. Of course, I believe there is a lot more they can do. But I think we need to, of course, those of us who are concerned about the situation, tag up with them to ensure that, that garbage situation in St. Lucia is taken care of. Just recently we had Massy stores banning the use of plastic bags at the supermarkets, and when they implemented a 25 cents per bag thing, St. Lucians were clamoring as to why do they have to pay 25 cents per bag. But yet still, the same people who were quarreling about paying 25 cents per bag, the same plastic cups and what have you, after they use it, they just dump it all over the place. All right? They still have not gotten the message that these things, they're dangerous to the environment. After it rained, it rains on any given day, just take a look at the harbor, or take a look at this collection point in the gardens, to see the amount of plastic that has come from the Mondidon, the top part of the upper part of Castries. And St. Lucians still have not understood that we can do better. Of course, even in minibuses or people driving in the expensive vehicles, you'll be driving behind them and somebody on the passenger side or something eating an ice cream. After they'll just take the cup and toss it out of the window on the roadside. Some time ago we discussed on this very show where it was one of it was it WLBL or
yes, WLBL.
Yeah, they did that cleanup thing in Shock, just in the Shock area, and they had sacks and sacks of garbage. They collected just in that small area. I think we must do something about it, because the infestation of rats, although to be honest with you, I have seen lately a lot less rats than we used to see 3 and 4 years ago. What comes to mind as I say that is a particular point in Cicero where there was a time you would drive past there and trees would grow in garbage probably about my height. And I'm happy to see that the city council came in and they did something about it, and I noticed the people of Cicero have taken on that project and they ensure that this place stays clean. I mean, if Cicero could achieve it, because I remember at one point they had about 5 truckloads of garbage in that one particular area, and very close to a nice apartment building and a business place. I think if Cicero could achieve that goal, we could do the very same everywhere else in St. Lucia. And this is why I'm going to make it a vocation now. I will do whatever I can, of course, in collaboration with the Solid Waste Management Authority, to ensure that, you know, people, when I see them, I am going to name and shame them, because, again, what it will do, it will help keep our environment clean, because the environment we're looking to protect, whereas it may not be for us, for our generation, but it will be for our kids and our grandkids.
I'll be honest with you. One thing I will say in relation to this, I mean, I want to see more fines. It would be good. I would love to see more fines for people who actually just, you know, dispose of garbage. Like you see a lot of the time, I'm making reference to when you're in the buses. Sometimes I'm driving and the vehicle in front, you just see somebody just throw a cup out of their window, they're drinking their bottle and they throw it. It is no wonder that when the companies go and do little cleanups in small areas, what you end up seeing rather is lots of garbage in a very small area, which means that every single day, people don't really calculate. If 1,000 people, if 1,000 people every day throw one bottle out of a vehicle,
that's 1,000 bottles.
That's 1,000 bottles every day that is being disposed in our country. God gave us the earth that we may take care of it. I think solid waste needs to make an effort to do more adverts. I think there needs to be more constant advertising to tell people not to dispose of garbage indiscriminately. Really and truly, there needs to be more money put into such a thing. One of the things I must confess, I don't necessarily enjoy. I help run a youth group. I don't like, you know, it's amazing that people throw garbage and then you have young people going around picking up garbage after people. Can I be very honest with you? Do you know I don't necessarily enjoy that? Because it's like, why? I've seen the Japanese, you know, the JICA. They come to St. Lucia to pick up our garbage. Yeah. I mean, isn't that disgusting? That don't we have any shame? Where's our pride as a people? You're telling me that the people have to leave all the way from Japan and come to St. Lucia to go on our beaches and pick up garbage for us? And we cannot just discipline ourselves to just, if you're on the beach and you have your garbage, just put your garbage in a vehicle. If you don't have a vehicle, put in a plastic bag, and when you get to the next place where garbage is being disposed, you just throw it in, you just throw it there. What is so difficult about that? Is it that people are just nasty? Is it just pure nastiness? What is it that prevents people from making sure that St. Lucia is a clean place? I don't get it.
But at the last major walk we had there, that's what I think 2 weeks ago, of course, during the walk, people would drink water, whatever they had, and the entire street, the entire road from VG right up to Pigeon Island was littered. And even after the event, I understand the organizers, they cleaned the beach, but what happened? People still had the garbage and tossed it all over the place. And of course, those guys were on television pleading with the participants not to dispose of the garbage indiscriminately. Pigeon Point is another case in point, where of course sandals are doing as much as they can, okay, near the hotel. But if you were to go lower down, the place is always littered with garbage. The point is, I think what the authorities need to do, I think they need to get certain people in key areas, especially on a weekend, to go about and take note of the persons, especially who have in group activities on the beaches, okay, record who they are, and of course to go after the event. And if the area is not cleaned, then action needs to be taken against them. You mentioned fines a while ago. There are fines on the book. Okay, but our problem in St. Lucia is when we witness people disposing of the garbage indiscriminately, we don't do anything about it. And even in some cases, even because I was at Solid Waste Management for a while, even when people call to report these incidents, when push comes to shove, like giving even evidence in court, you don't see them. They don't turn up. Okay, now Solid Waste was not there to witness what happened, so you find they're in a bind. The thing is, we need to pay more attention. We need to take more interest in our environment to ensure that when people are caught doing that the necessary action is taken. Like you said, in the first case, you ask them, you speak to them nicely, ask them to clear it. If not, you name and shame them, or you revert to the authority and let action be taken against them and pay the fine, because I'll tell you, in some cases the fines are hefty. All right. The thing is, we as a nation, we need to play our role and don't just sit and wait on Solid Waste Management Authority to do what, because Solid Waste Management Authority is just a few people mandating that organization, and they cannot be everywhere. What I think that must be done, because majority of the garbage we find on our beaches are done on a Sunday. All right? Have officers patrolling the beach, and they don't have to be paid officers. I'm sure you could get volunteers to go about doing that. Take note of the persons who congregate on the beaches, like I said, in groups. Okay, take note of who they are. And on the evening of that weekend, that Sunday, that particular day, it could be a holiday, pass in that same area when you have taken photos, see what it is, and of course, you take names and what have you, or in some cases, issue, even if they don't pay, but issue a permit to those persons to ensure that the beach is cleaned after. And if it is not done, you know how to reach them in order to get the remedial action taken.
But I'm going to say, solid waste need to take some of the blame too. I think they need to do more on education. Solid waste is like they're just there for collecting garbage, and that's their job. They're collecting garbage, but really and truly, they have also a responsibility to educate people, the society, the population on proper disposing of garbage, and there needs to be a budget. I don't know what they do with the budget, but the key thing is there needs to be money spent to make sure that people are educated, and it's a process that's going to take a while. For example, like I was going to say, they got rid of the receptacles by the roadside. That was just done. That was not really, there was no education process to let people know the reason why, and to really encourage the people into making sure that they don't put the garbage out if it's not garbage collection day. You know, but they got rid of the receptacles. They just took the receptacles out. You just woke up one morning, there's no receptacle, and you now have to figure out what you're going to do with the garbage. You know, so I think solid waste needs to make sure that they can do a bit more education for the people also.
As always, I will say that we as a people need to do more, because if we don't litter, then there wouldn't be much need for guys to go pick up the stuff. And I agree with you. I saw JICA and I saw the Taiwanese cleaning up, and it was embarrassing for me as a St. Lucian to have foreigners come to your country to clean up for your country. And so I give some thought to that as well. I'm saying that we need to have responsibility, and I was looking at a model where in every community, if there's a church in a community, that church take responsibility for its vicinity, you know, make sure that you have responsibility. So if everybody takes responsibility for a piece of the street that they're on, a playing field, if the teams that play on a playing field take responsibility for the playing field. I mean, I went to a community where there was a court, guys playing basketball, and there was garbage right along the perimeter, and I'm telling the guys, come on, you can take no more than 10 minutes. And then clean up this thing, and you have a nice clean place to work with. But they're playing basketball right there with the garbage and everything. They drink water, they throw the bottles right there, and I'm saying, come on guys, take some pride in your own area. This is your playing field, this is your court, you know what I mean? So I'm saying if we as a people need to look at our surroundings, homes, look at your area and take responsibility. You wouldn't have a need for all that plastic going into the drains and clogging and creating serious, and it's costing the country a lot of money, because now we have to find money for solid waste to pick up garbage, to clean up garbage, to desilt and to do a lot of stuff. So I know, yeah, with the authorities and everybody else has their role to play, but we as a people need to, like, going back to the point Michael made, that lady, if she didn't throw this thing, they wouldn't have an issue. So people have to take personal responsibilities for it.
Yeah.
Very, very quick closing comments from you, Michael.
Yeah, but I need to say that, like I mentioned earlier, that garbage, indiscriminate garbage disposal thing is very passionate. I'm very passionate about it. And of course, well, today I found a gentleman who's equally passionate, if not more passionate than myself. And we've agreed to come together and do something about it. And of course, within the next week or so, the nation will be hearing a lot more from us as to the way forward. But we intend to do something about it.
I hope you'll break the news here first. And Ambrose, we're happy that you two have, I think there was some reaction to the cause that you've taken up concerning the National Consumer Association and so on. Do you have a quick update for us on that?
Not fully as yet. Okay. I'm hoping next program because Mr. Sentinel did contact me, and so the process has begun. And I've actually been going around speaking to persons, and lots of persons are telling me they are interested in actually joining the National Consumer Association, although we might be jumping on them because because they don't really know we're coming.
Right. Okay, well, that's good.
They don't know we're coming, but we're coming.
Yeah, and I'm happy that we're taking that turn and that tone on this program. We're identifying something, and we're not just complaining about it, but we want to start being the agent of change to make a difference. Yeah, and in very small ways. We seem to think that to make a difference, you need a big fancy proposal, lots of money, some agencies behind you. It could start with you. A very simple project, a very simple initiative could get amazing results. Michael, we really appreciate this initiative, and we look forward to talking some more about it. And Ambrose, we certainly want to encourage you, and we'll support as well in terms of consumers getting to know their rights and so on. Also, we'll certainly have some more discussions on music and quotas and supporting what is solution.
Yes.
This is The Reality Show. We appreciate you being with us. Join us again next week, Monday, right here on Calabash TV.
This is The Reality Show.
26 clicks, and it's off middle and left.
We still a win, we still a win. We still a win. Them girl keep the black thing shining. We still a win.
It's incredible. You could write a script like this.
We still a win. Them to know say a worldwide thing. Hear me? We still a win.
He goes for the keeper. He could score. He does.
Right now, we still a win. We still a win. We still a win. You know say a worldwide thing. Them a pray for me.
Trophy Central Plus. Telephone